Wedding DJs, videographers, why is this such a contentious topic of capturing audio for the day? Let's talk about this. Now, before we dive into this video, I want to highly suggest please hit subscribe on this channel, hit that thumbs up on this particular video, and thumbs down. If you don't like what I'm talking about here, hit the comments below. I wanted to film this because I saw this topic come up yet again. It comes up quite often. Somebody will frame a question: do you allow a videographer to connect to your equipment? And next thing you know, it's a real hodgepodge of responses. Some people are like, oh, absolutely. And some others are like, no way. And I'm personally trying to wrap my head around the whole no way crowd. I don't quite get the understanding and the mentality behind it. But, let's backtrack a little. Let's talk about my philosophy and what I specifically do, and what I would think some of the DJs in the community should, and some of the perils behind this, because there are definitely some negatives to think about in this whole situation as well. So let's kind of lay out the land here. So first and foremost, I treat myself as a sound engineer. Even back in the days when I had the most basic of equipment, I always felt that, I'm the person capturing the sound of the day. I'm rebroadcasting it out, whether it's microphones for the officiant, I'm doing speeches, whatever it is, I'm the person controlling sound in general. And I've never had this issue of, if a videographer came to me, to just simply be like, hey, I would love for you to, plug into my board, and this way you have a capability to record straight from the source. From a videographer's standpoint, you want to get the cleanest sound possible. And sometimes you're left with challenges where you don't have, direct access to certain things. So you're doing your best to try to capture stuff. But on the flip side is, you'll get people like me who see the value and stuff like this. I record every wedding that I do, and I've done it for many, many, many years with different types of equipment. For the last several years, I had a Soundcraft UI-16 mixer. I recorded a 2-track audio recording of the entire night. Then I would hand that off to the videographers, usually the day after via Dropbox. And even now, I invested in a upgrade of that equipment, the UI-24, that allows me multi-track recording. And also that multi-track recording is pre-equalization, pre-fader. So this is as clean and unadulterated of sound that you can get that's being captured from all these sources. So, from a videographer standpoint, this is essentially, the dream of having, really, really clean audio that now in post you can manipulate as needed and really get that super crispy audio to go with the tremendous video that the videographer does shoot throughout the day. In addition, when I am working with a videographer, I also offer them a connection to hang off an auxiliary port off my board. And this is another post mix, so it's very similar to the 2-channel offering that I give them. But now essentially they have 3 recordings of the day. They have my 2-track recording, they have a multi-track recording, and then they have their own essentially backup recording of everything that's happened. And that backup recording I can set up at a lower level just in case if things kind of overimpeded on the main channels, and it just kind of gives them the best of all worlds. So this way, no matter what, they should have great audio at any time during the day with one of these recordings. Now, for the DJ that has this mentality that I'm the DJ, that person's the videographer, whatever, they do their own thing, I'm not interacting with them, whatever the case may be. I don't quite understand that mentality. Be it, I'm constantly tapping when certain things are happening through the night, like bouquet toss is happening, or hey, we're gonna get ready for speeches. I'm approaching the photographer, the videographer, everybody to be like, hey, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm talking to the people who are going to be doing the toast. Hey, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is. I want everybody to be kind of ready, because as a DJ, we're setting the tone for the day. And I find that, that mentality should carry over to, hey, why not offer these point of source capabilities to the videographers so they have the best offerings that they can provide our clients. Because in the end, our couples are our priority. Our couples are our clients. I don't treat my couples as, hey, once the wedding is over, that's it. I want those relationships to continue. I want the videographer to be like, you know what? Lou gave me this really awesome audio. I'm going to be recommending them. Oh, hey, certain couple, Lou gave you this, and this is why this product sounds so really great because, Lou helped me out with this. This is the mentality that I personally subscribe to. So for the DJs that are out there that are like, hey, we're just going to stay in our lanes or anything like that, I think that's the wrong mentality. I think as a company, as a service, you should be providing, at the bare minimum, a connection for a videographer to be able to help out with their services. Now, this isn't just rainbows and sunshine. There's some negatives to talk about in all this as well. Matter of fact, a couple things happened to me twice, in fact, this year. So first, let me talk about one of the most obvious pieces in this. As a videographer, if you don't understand all your equipment, that could ultimately do some damage to the DJ equipment. For instance, with a audio recorder, some of them provide phantom power. Certain microphones need power to be able to carry the signal over. And if you have the phantom power on and you just plug into a piece of equipment without turning it off, that could damage that equipment. So for the videographers out there, I will plead, do not just plug willy-nilly into some DJ's piece of equipment, be it a speaker, a board, whatever. Establish that relationship early. Say, hey, I would love to have a source. Can you provide me for that? I would dare say the majority of the time the DJ will, try to help you out. There will be some that aren't, and I wish I could do something about that, and I hope a video like this will shine some light on some of the DJs that take this mentality of not helping out. But I think by and large, if you ask, they will help and they will provide. Now, not every DJ is going to have the best audio source to come out of. Some have not invested in certain pieces of equipment that make things easier. But that being said, most will have some way to be able to provide that. Most of the time, it's going to be like a XLR connection off a speaker. Some more advanced people will have boards to come off of. Maybe sometimes their controller, their mixer might have an output that will help you out in cases like that. But please do not just indiscriminately plug into a DJ's equipment without their permission. Same thing goes with taping things up to DJ's equipment or placing things in front of it. And these are the two things that happened to me this year. One, after talking to a videographer. So first and foremost, I sent an email out the week before. I introduced myself if I haven't talked to him in the past. And it's like, hey, these are the things that I offer. Here's my pedigree behind this. Here's some videos of how this production kind of worked out of it. So they know that I have some acumen in this field. And, I had in one instance where, we set things up. I set up an auxiliary recording for them as well. So I had my two track, my multi-track, and they also hung off their Zoom recorder off an auxiliary. We go do the ceremony and I come back and I see a lavalier taped up to my Evolve EV50 speaker. So this is a $1,500 speaker to begin with. It's unsightly. There's just cables kind of hanging down. Something's taped to my bar. The recorder is just hanging on top of the speaker. And honestly, I got upset at this. There's no question about that because it's, again, I take this mentality of trying to help out videographers as much as possible. And then just to see that taped to my equipment, one, without my permission, and then B, it's taped to my equipment. It's pretty expensive. That kind of, just to me, it kind of crossed the line. It'd be no different than me sorting through the bag of a photographer or videographer and say, hey, I would love to run this 85 prime on my camera now. Let me go try this on. Of course, somebody wouldn't do that. That's ludicrous. I think the same thing goes through with taping equipment onto a piece of DJ's equipment. It's just something, don't do, ask. If that's the only way that it can be done, I'm sure a DJ won't mind helping out in some form or fashion. But DJs as a whole take a lot of pride in their display and the way that their equipment's set up. And just taping stuff to it is just, that's kind of crossing the line. Another thing that happened to me this year, and again, I sent out an email with all this information. We hang off the secondary recorder. And then next thing you know, they plop a mic stand in front of my speaker. This mic stand is now on the dance floor. And it's a very large crowd that night. guests could have easily tripped over that mic stand, could have just taken out the mic stand, could have gotten injured, could have crashed into my equipment. There's a lot of things that could have happened out of that, and for what? In the end, a recording like that, be it a lavalier taped off a speaker, Zoom recorder in front of my speaker, it's just not going to be great audio. And I do understand that if you don't have DJs that cooperate, you've got to get the audio somehow. And, there's, I believe, better ways around doing that. And again, I think asking right away is the way to go on this. In both of these instances, they didn't ask me about taping something to my equipment or putting something in front. And, it was just a bit of like, well, why? I'm giving you, pristine audio in multiple ways, and you're hanging an auxiliary off of mine. I'm Mr. Redundancy. Check out my backup and redundancy video on this. I'm all about redundancy. Having a third, fourth, and fifth level of redundancy, I don't see it. I don't understand the mentality behind it. So again, for the videographers out there, before you touch any piece of DJ's equipment, please, 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 please ask. Don't just plug things in, just don't tape things up. Ask. Those DJs you might not even know might have a much better source to be able to come off and work, whether it's a pair of RCAs, whether it's a quarter jack, whether it's XLR. They may have a much better solution for you to get that audio. And then there might be some people, like in my case, that can provide you from the source, direct recordings off of that, and also give you auxiliary options as well. For the DJs out there that take this mentality that, that the videographer is going to do their thing and I'm not going to help them out, personally for me, stop. I would say stop that mindset. Help them out. Help your couples out. Because in the end, that just makes you, what I personally believe, a better business person, a better contributor to their services, a better vendor as a whole. And wouldn't you rather have videographers, photographers, and others who, when you are constantly exceeding expectations to get those referrals? I still have people from like 2013, 2014, when I've just did my first couple years of weddings, who are still referring to me because of some of the more basic offerings I had back then. And I think it just goes a long way. And I think in the end, when you establish those relationships, when you have what I would consider a premium offering, let's face it, this isn't an easy thing always. There's definite investment. My 2 digital mixers set me back over $2,000 to be able to do that. And of course, I have the headache of making sure all that is recording, sounds great and everything. But it's a lot easier from my perspective to be able to do this than for a videographer to have to kind of come in off the side and try to do their best to get these kind of recordings. Let's help the videographers out. Let's try to make this a really awesome service for all our clients, for other vendors, and let's set the bar high. Well, there's a video, and I truly hope you liked it. And if so, hit that thumbs up or hit that thumbs down. If you don't agree with me, tell me why. Subscribe to this channel if you can. Head over to my Patreon page and subscribe if you find content like this valuable. It definitely will help out with me getting these videos out. Check out my other videos too, for DJs only, my gig logs, and other things that I have on this channel.